We really believe in having everyone be prepared in case of an emergency. Now, we pray that there's never a need for these emergency procedures, but nonetheless, for the safety of our children and our students, it is so important that you are familiar with our emergency procedures. So regardless of what role you're in, please take a couple of minutes to review and prepare your emergency procedures before serving on a Sunday morning or any other time that you may be involved in kids or student ministry. The emergency procedures will be posted right inside the door, around the door frame. There will be a campus map which will show you the nearest safety exits, as well as a review of some of the terms and instructions to make sure that you are as prepared as possible in case of an emergency. Let's talk about our emergency procedures. The first phrase that we want you guys to be aware of is threat inside. Now, threat inside means that there is a hazard inside the building, a threat to the children, volunteers, and families that are a part of Southridge Community Church. When you hear threat inside, this should immediately indicate to you that there is a progression that we want you to follow. The first part of this progression is run. Run means that if the threat has been identified in a different building or a different part of the building and it provides you an ability to escape, then you should do so. We will indicate to you a rendezvous point to ensure that you and the children or the class or the students that you are looking after are safe and secure. So the first thing is run. The second thing is hide. This is where you'll hide in the classroom, shut the door, turn out the lights, block any kind of light that can be streaming out, and then separate all of your children and volunteers throughout the classroom. Now, we pray that we never have to get to the third term, but it is fight. If a threat has entered into your classroom and is putting children or volunteers at harm or at risk, we want you to immediately fight by throwing objects, tackling, fighting against the potential threat that may be in the classroom. So once again, for threat inside, you want to run, and if you can't run, hide, and if you can no longer hide, fight. Now, we will tell you there is a tremendous level of discernment required to know what to do in what scenario. And I would personally encourage you to err on the side of caution. For example, if I am leading a 2-year-old classroom, that may be really challenging for us to run. So I may recognize, you know what, gathering these 10 to 15 kids and having them run outside in an orderly fashion may be challenging. And so we're gonna resort to hiding and pray that we never have to get to the idea of fighting. Ultimately, we want you to use discernment and wisdom, but understand that the best that we can do is prepare for these situations and circumstances. The next phrase that I want you to be aware of is threat outside. In the case that the threat is outside of the building, all of the exterior doors will be locked, and we ask that you guys would be extra vigilant. This just means that you're going to continue to go about as if business is normal. If you're serving with our SR kids, this means we're going to continue to encourage to teach the lesson and go through different things, but be hyper vigilant in case we announce threat inside. If you're teaching an SR students and you're having discussion and you hear threat outside, we're simply just going to ensure that the exterior doors are locked and that you guys continue to go about in a safe and orderly fashion, waiting for us to announce that the threat is no longer a threat. Please, under no circumstances are you to leave the building in a threat outside scenario. The third phrase that we want you guys to be aware of is evacuate. In the case of an evacuation, we want you to gather your kids, grab your clipboard, quietly and quickly exit the building, and then take an account of everyone who has checked in on your clipboard, ensuring that everyone has safely exited the building. We will then go around and make sure and ensure that kids are safely removed from potentially a hazardous situation. At the end of the day, we will connect and coordinate with fire, police officers, or other safety individuals to know when it is safe for us to re-enter the building. But our top priority in the case of an evacuation is to get everyone safely exited from the building. The fourth phrase is shelter. This would be in the case of a potential catastrophe or natural disaster. At that time, we will give you guys a designated area for you to lead your group to. At that point, we'll give you further instructions on what it looks like to stay safe and remain calm. We will be there to guide and walk alongside you, but the most important thing is to provide safety in the building for our kids. Once again, we pray that we will never need these emergency procedures. But in the case that we do, we ask that you would be prepared. A common practice that I would encourage you to grow familiar with is when you come to serve, find where these safety procedures are located and review them quickly. Read through the emergency procedures that we have listed in order to ensure that you are familiar in case of something taking place that Sunday morning. We're going to pray against threats or hazards to our kids, volunteers, and families, but we're going to be prepared in case there are.